Hey guys, and welcome back to the Sierra Nevada Ski Reserve and the final episode of the Speed Build series. Today I'm going to work on two guest sections. Here I'm trying to add a lift to one. It is the one that is looking into the T-Rex exhibit that I built, I think in the second episode, but didn't go back to and didn't finish. So I'm going to do that today, checking the view to see if the fence was intruding. So it was, I thought, and then I exchanged it for the invisible fence. And now I'm adding a few rocks in front of these brackets that appear when you place the invisible fence. And what I did was place a little rock in front of the fence and then the big one, so that it looks like they were one big rock behind the fence. And I think it worked pretty cool. It makes for the illusion that there isn't a fence at all. And now I'm adding some wall pieces of, just to line the path with the fountain. Pretty nice. I tried adding the wall pieces to the edges there of the path to make sure people don't wander into the T-Rex exhibit, but it just wasn't possible. So we'll just have to rely on faith here. Again, exactly as we have to with the ski slope that I'm building now, because, the electrified fence that I'm putting where the concrete fence is now is not going to be warded from anything. No fencing of fencing. So let's just hope people don't ski into electric fences there. Right? Just to believe in the ability of people to think like, I don't know. Just don't look too closely at these bits. So this is the ski slope that goes down from the theory exhibit to this little T-Rex section. And of course, I had to add a little path and an arrival section, so to say, for the people that ski down there, which is going to be this little shape with a little fountain and some seating opportunities. If your knees are weak because of the thrill, you can't sit down. They have the closed parasols because I figured this is one of the sections where you're not going to spend a lot of time, and most people are just going to walk up the path and back to the guest section. Here I'm creating a little hiking path because I decided to leave that bit of the map undecorated and not add another guest section. The parasols are closed. Because this is not a place where you would spend a lot of time, but I wanted to leave the chairs and tables there just in case if people, as I said, have weak knees from the little ride next to the T-Rexes. And then, of course, I had to add a path to the lift that I just created. I also haven't decorated this other side of the T-Rex exhibit guest section, so that's going to happen now. I don't know why I added a queue to this lift. In hindsight, it doesn't make any sense. Also, what I did here, there is a little ski slope coming down this hill, and in the course of the next minutes, I'm going to, put as much as I can in the way of people coming down that slope to find a path and to reconnect with the park. So there is just no exit to this ski slope, but let's just, again, not look too closely. mistakes happen. Mistakes were made. Unforeseen consequences occur. So decorating, of course, I had this to be a little planted section with rocks, of course. This is still free update, so I went with the redwoods and rocks, of course. Very nice. Trying to make rocks fit really close to the trees. It's such a shame that the hitboxes are the way they are, but what can you do? Lots of little rocks, and then I started adding wall pieces to this electrified fence just so that people couldn't walk up to it. And here I was confused because I thought, it doesn't line up with the fence. This is going to bother me. And then I realized, it's also not going to fit. So I had to reposition the wall pieces and added a little fountain there. So now it fit, but still I didn't like it too much because of the fence poles not being lined up with the lights. But I found a solution for that you're going to see later. Here I'm adding another seating section in front of the amenities. And I just placed a ton of tables and chairs, as you see, but wasn't too happy with the look. Still, I didn't know what to do with it, so I just went on creating a fence for the people with walls and planters. Here, you can see me do that. And again, I was a little put off by the fence not lining up with the wall pieces. And there I went to delete the tables and chairs and just looked at it and figured start with the lights, with the heat lamps for the people to stay warm when they are sitting outside, and just don't add a complete row of seats. Just make it 3 or 4 at a time, little clusters, and that makes it look so much more neat and cute. So here is me trying to make sense of that line cue that I created to the lift. And I don't know, it would have made sense if I had been able to put a second lift there. So, it's a 2-directional one. And the line implies that there is a direction that is, more in demand than the other one. But like this, I don't know. Where is it even taking us? I am not even sure if this is going to the T-Rex, the other side of the T-Rex habitat, where the ski slope ends, or if the lift is taking us to this section, which would make more sense from, the flow of things. But then again, why would I need a queue there? So it doesn't make much sense. I guess I was just trying to get done with this park. But it's still okay. I mean, it looks kind of nice. I would have, in hindsight, liked more plants and fancy, nice things instead of these wall pieces. But it's okay. It's okay. You can't always be perfect. So this is one of the examples where I am not. And I'm willing to share this with you. So this is the little seating section finished, and this whole section, by the way. And now I'm going to build one final guest section with a habitat that is the home to, I think, 4 deinocheiruses that are perfectly happy living together, and just instead of the one that is living alone, one level down. And here I'm adding a little viewing platform where I'm putting the viewing galleries and viewing platforms or whatever they are called. And I like using the fence to make them just so I don't hustle with aligning them. And if I just put one gallery down and then just build a fence, a straight fence going from either side, I can just make the galleries snap to it and I have them perfectly aligned. That's a little life hack for you if you're into that sort of stuff. And then I created the habitat with the invisible fence, because this is again going to have a little mountain pass, not as small and thin as the first one that I did a few episodes ago, but still. And I wanted the people to be able to look into the exhibit. Here, because the update and the DLC pack with the feathered species wasn't even announced when I built this, I have populated this with a herd of Nasudos and maybe Orlora Titan or something else. I don't even remember. I think we're going to see them, but it doesn't matter because it's going to be a home for deinocheiruses in the end. So yeah, adding a little bit of terrain textures that you don't really see, but I know it's there and that makes me happy. And a little bit of forest. I like that. I'm checking the view. This has to go. Can't see anything. Adding more small trees because I wanted this to be planted with dense foliage, but not too high, so I couldn't use the brush, but had to place the trees myself. The same goes for the rest of these little patches of wood forest I have placed there. Shrubs, rocks. Very nice. I'm using the patchy snow, as you know, to create the illusion of depth and shallowness in the water. So what I like doing to emphasize that, or to complete the illusion to those shallow bits, is adding rocks that are going down into the water so that your brain sort of interprets this as a continuation of the rock that I placed that goes into the water. I think it works pretty nice. That's one of the things we can do in this biome that isn't possible in any other. I think it makes for more realistic rocky decoration transitions into watery stuff. And here I chose the rocks that have a flat surface and just wanted to create the illusion of rocks that are that are a little reminding of steps. I don't know. I just wanted to try it and I think it looks really cute. Here I'm adding a little cut off viewing section that is connected to the path and has its own little plaza where you can stay, and the viewing platform just in the back of the viewing gallery. I really liked this little concept. There you go. This is the connection, and I'm going to fence them in, even the viewing opportunities buildings here. So it's really its own little section, which is kind of cute. And I was checking the view to see if the forest was hiding anything, and just did a few adjustments. And now it's me placing a lot of wall pieces to this mountain path and the whole guest section there, just to make sure that people don't fall off any steep mountainsides or wander off. I mean, they can still wander off into nothingness, but I like to think that me putting these decorations to the path is sort of the message to the people. Stay here. Don't wander off. If you do, that's your responsibility. I'm not taking claims for anything that happens outside of the path. Sort of my inner lawyer talking. So yeah, lots of wall pieces and lights, and yeah, it's tedious. It's annoying a little bit, but I think it's worth it. So that's why I do it over and over again. Here I'm checking the view to see if I can look into the exhibit and if the view into the valley is good, and it wasn't. So I just lowered and smoothed the ground next to the path. And now I'm checking the view again. Looks nice. Very good. And now I'm decorating this little viewing area with the two galleries / platforms. And I was going back and forth a little because I wasn't too sure what I wanted to do here. I just knew I wanted to have it be sort of walled off and a little intimate because, well, it's walled off and not that open. And yeah, lights, wall stuff. It's really worth it in the end because I think I really like how it turned out, but I had to, go back and forth and figure a few things out. For example, that this wasn't realistic for a realistic space for bushes. And yeah. So I put planters there and the taller wall pieces in front, so you can't look at the exhibit outside of those viewing galleries because I want people to go in there. And then I added those bigger walls to the outside to emphasize the feeling of being really walled off, And but then I realized I didn't leave enough space between the small wall and the big wall to put the lights where the two connection points are, and it's kind of ugly because they don't phase into each other. But I wanted that. I wanted it to look as nice from the inside as from the outside. So I rearranged everything, but it turned out really nice in the end. At least I think so. And I would love it so much if we got, I don't know, alternatives to these wall pieces with the next free update, because they are really a godsend. I love them, but they look so rustic and crumbling, and I want something that looks pristine and nice, Something like this, a tall wall and a small wall that isn't crumbling at the ends, but that can be stacked next to each other and slightly clipping into each other without creating these little breaking moments at the seams. That would be so nice. Yeah, but what can I say? So that's that. That is the little section finished. Just adding a little bit of elevation to the surroundings to make it more interesting. and adding bushes to the bits and pieces where I didn't add walls because there was a curve there and you can't bend walls. At least I can't. And again, creating big planters, quote unquote, with the small fountain and the wall pieces. I think they just work perfectly together. Yeah, and then I realized that I hadn't finished walling the first mountain path I did pass. So, of course, I had to finish that. While I was at it, I might as well, I thought, and I did it. And it was annoying. It was tedious. And I was cursing a lot. But I went through with it, and I did it just for you guys. And what can I say? I think it was worth it. And of course, no guest section is complete without amenities. And I had quite some space left, so I went for big and medium. And I rearranged this little operating building for the lift, so I can fit the second medium amenity there. Yeah, and I'm adding decorations, again, walling this little queue there to the lifts, again with the pieces, and just to reuse the aesthetic I had introduced with the little walled off viewing section I have built before. And now I'm looking at the path and how to make sure that people don't wander into the exhibit, but at the same time conserving the view, because I know that planters are a little too high to look over them. But those small ones are okay, but the other ones, it's sometimes really hard to look into the exhibit. And then I decided to use the planters on the round corners and on corners in general, and use the wall pieces that are just perfect as the height goes to look over them on the straight edges of this exhibit, and it turned out really nice. What I like doing lately, I started doing this basically at the same time as Ivo did, as putting a little elevated section next to a path opposite of an exhibit and placing the viewing galleries there, so you look over the path and into the exhibit. And I really like the effect it gives. It's just so funny to me that we started doing this at the same time. So, here I'm creating a little triangular plaza for guests to hang out and to look into the exhibit with just a little bit of path flair. And of course, another huge planter made out of multi-walls and lights. Very nice. And so I can add vegetation and rocks in there. I just like the look of the wall pieces in combination with the lights. And when I turn them into big planters or, as little fences for planting sections, I think it looks so cute and neat and not too busy, but it's just very clean. And stop talking, Miri. Just stop talking and let people watch how you try to fit rocks into this little section with bushes. There we go. still trying to fit rocks. Very nice. And then I added shrubs in front of the galleries. I just like to see a little bit of vegetation just in front of the gallery. It adds a level of depth. If you have something right in front of you and then there's something behind that and something behind again, I just like that effect. And now I'm adding tables and chairs to this little fountain I placed with heat lamps, of course. And I really like how this looks. This little circular pattern of the lights with the chairs, tables, parasols. Of course, I would have loved to place just a few benches just in front of this straight wall. But let's not talk about benches, okay? I think at this point, it's like a running gag. It's never going to happen. It's just never going to happen that we get benches. Or if it is, with the next free update, I'm just going to laugh like a mad person, like a crazy old witch. So wallings, path stuff, just adding the bamboo poles to the lifts as ski stands so people can leave their skis there and wander around freely. More wall pieces, bushes, wall pieces, of course. Very nice. And then I just did some finishing touches on the snowflake wall art, path art plaza by, again, adding a maintenance building to the lift and just a few more tables and chairs with heat lamps. And I think I finished lining the path with the walls. Yeah, lamps. Heat lamps, tables and chairs. Very nice. And then I added a little pond in this little weird section that was still left open and that I didn't want to fill with path. So I'm doing my favorite trick, aligning rocks with the terrain texture and creating illusions. Yeah, a lovely little pond with lots of rocks and a few trees. And then I finished lining, as I said, this path. Just look at me. Positioning rocks. Very nice. That's just one of my favorite things to do. Rocks. In the water. Outside of the water. Nice. Trees. Bushes. Smaller trees, more bushes, just some nature. You know, who doesn't love nature? That's it. And this is when I started to finish this rock wall to prevent people from walking down that steep mountainy side. Very nice. And to the other side of the path, like opposite from the pond, I have no footage of this. I just went in and did it real quick. I added an access building to a viewing dome, I think they are called. Those little glass domes that you can put in exhibits or aviaries. And I put it in the theory exhibit that is lying underneath this guest section that you can look into from the mountain pass. And then I just went in and crossed a few T's and dotted a few I's by adding walls to every bit of electrified fence that is accessible from path and guest sections just to add a little more realism to this park, because we, of course, wouldn't want people to touch those fences and to be able to get close enough to them to be able to touch them. And here is when I realized I think there is a way for me to make the poles of the fence line up with the lights. And so I went in, pressed pause, and went to add those small fence bits from light to light. And this is my favorite fence to use in a park situation, because it's really, it's not ugly. It's just gray and very slim. What's it called? Wires, poles, and but it behaves a little. It's one of the reasons why I like it, because what I don't like about the concrete fence is that on every connection, fence connection, you get one of those black poles, and this fence just doesn't behave like that. It just, no matter where you connect things, it's just this continuous clean shape. That's really nice. I like that a lot about this fence. But the flip side is that whenever it only creates those bricks in the fence, you see that I'm trying to create everywhere where I have a light. You only get those if the fence, the two fences connecting don't line up perfectly. So if you're making a curve, you're never going to get one of those breaks between two poles. And if you do a straight fence, it's the same. They have to meet coming in from different angles and directions to create this breakage. So it's a little tricky. And if you have a straight fence where you want to add this effect, it sort of ruins the straightness, because you have to put them at a slight angle to each other so you get this break. But that's enough of me talking about fences. And here's a little overview of everything we have so far. This is the video. I hope you liked it. Thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned for the tour next week. And yeah, if you liked this video, give it a like, consider subscribing, and see you next time. Bye-bye.